Hello, it's Andrew from Burncoose Nurseries, catching up with you for a peat-free recap and where we've been on the last 12 months on Burncoose's journey with peat-free. So in the last year we've been to a couple of seminars, one in Hereford and one in London, organised by the HTA and supported by the RHS, where we've been encouraged to look at plants growing in a peat-free medium, and there's a lot of work that's been done in that sector, which has been very encouraging in that area. Some very good perennials we've seen, especially at Allensmore Nurseries. They've responded very well to the peat-free medium, and these peat-free mediums are being improved as we speak, week on week, year on year. The problem that Burncoose has a little bit is that we are a little bit specialist in what we grow, and we grow the ericaceous plants that you all know and love, camellias and magnolias here, and the rhododendrons, which are not quite yet in flower. Now, as we all know, these are ericaceous loving plants, and there's no better medium for growing these plants in some part than peat in itself, and this is the medium peat, which is trying to be removed from the commercial horticultural industry, and in some part for very good reasons, especially in some sectors. But for us specialist growers, the ericaceous plant growers, this is a key component to the propagation of those ericaceous plants. Now, we're not against peat-free in any stretch of the imagination. However, what we would like as an industry is a little bit of loosening of the idea of to go entirely peat-free, with some exemptions being placed or being available for the commercial growers of horticultural crops, to be able to use peat in some part in the production of their plants that require the ericaceous compost. Camellias, rhododendrons, azaleas, magnolias, and there are more. So it wouldn't be a total exemption that we would require. We would require a partial exemption. So we would suggest that it may be prudent if the government suggested and gave us a technical exemption of a proportion of our medium that we use each year could be this, which is peat. I mean, that I think would be a very, very agreeable solution to a very, very tricky situation. So, for example, I'll just give you a hypothetical situation. We may here use 250 cubic meters of medium a year to grow all of our plants in. It may be more. I suspect it is. So, if we were to have a 10% exemption on peat-free, we could then have 25 cubic meters of peat, which would then enable us to grow such wonderful plants as camellias, rhododendrons and magnolias. To go peat-free in our industry, for the people that grow those plants, we are finding it very, very tricky to come up with the same quality and the same strike rate as we have in the past using peat, using the peat-free medium instead. So we would like a partial exemption from the government in the industry, so the industry can use a small proportion of peat in their practices across the country. That would be very agreeable. Next month, the government are holding a seminar in Birmingham where we are going to discuss in part the possibilities of a technical exemption of the use of peat in the industry, and I think that will be very favourable. I'm very looking forward to going to there to describe our plight as Burncoose Nurseries and what we've done moving forward. So hopefully that will be very encouraging, and it's also very encouraging to see that the government have actually listened to the industry and are making some movements towards understanding how it can impact on the industry as a whole, going peat-free entirely. Some growers are herbaceous and trees. Peat-free, not a problem whatsoever. Those plants are very agreeable to a peat-free medium, and they will grow on fine. Other basic shrubs, hydrangeas, weigelias, The normal common garden shrubs, they're also sympathetic to the peat-free medium, and they would be fine. All we are asking is a little bit of leeway when it comes to growing the specific ericaceous shrubs, which are in abundance down here in Cornwall, as everybody knows and loves the Cornish woodland gardens that are close to the coast. We just need a little bit of leeway from the government to say, we understand that you've made great inroads into going peat-free. We are behind with what you are doing, but we will have you will have an exemption for a portion of your peat purposes, and we'll be able to use peat in the propagation of plants moving forward. I think it is a great idea, a fantastic idea, that the government will say that from 2025 there will be no more peat in the bagged peat that people sell from the big sheds and the garden centres and nurseries. That's a fantastic idea, and this represents a tremendous amount of the peat used historically in the industry is the peat in the bags of compost that you buy to grow your hanging baskets, your tubs, your geraniums, and also used as a soil improver. So that medium as a peat-free medium is absolutely perfect. But what we would be suggesting next month at the government's seminar in Birmingham is just listen to the commercial industry a little bit, give us a little bit of leeway. We would like to use a very small amount of peat, a very, very small amount of peat, to enable us to continue to grow those lovely ericaceous plants that we all well know and love. Now, the RHS are very big on the peat-free initiative. They're very big pushing that everything should be peat-free, but even the RHS have recognised that there may not be such fantastic shows if they insist that all of the plants you see at the Chelsea, Hampton Court, Malvern and various other shows around the country, that if they insist that everything has to be peat-free, you will be finding plants like this little beauty here that we've all seen and many times at the Chelsea Flower Show, a Chelsea veteran of 10 years. The RHS know that this plant, due to its age, has peat in its medium. Peat in its medium because there was no drive when this plant was potted for peat-free. So this plant, and there are many other plants that we use at the Chelsea Flower Show and Hampton Court, especially on the main drive, the big trees, the specimen shrubs that are 20, 30 years old, that will have peat in their pot. The RHS will now call these legacy plants. So you will see large specimen plants at the Chelsea and Hampton Court flower shows. You will wonder if they're grown in peat-free or peat. They are grown in peat, but they are described by the RHS as legacy plants, and they have an exemption at the shows because the RHS recognise that without these legacy plants, Chelsea and Hampton Court would not be the show that we all know and love it is. So hopefully next month we'll have a little bit of common sense from the government. We'll all get together and we'll have a little bit of a relaxation on the peat-free initiative, so the industry can continue in the manner it has gone over many years, but with the reduction of peat in its growing practices, but not the total abolition. We're all sensible, we all know what it means, we're all striving to be more environmentally friendly, but let's just have a little bit of common sense to enable us to go down that road all together with no one, and especially the Cornish growers of camellias, rhododendrons and magnolias, at a disadvantage.